Hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here, and today we're going to talk about effective communication. 5 tips on how to communicate more effectively and show up as a better leader. Now, if you like this content and want to learn more about how to be an effective manager and grow into the next level of your career, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another video from me. All right, so what does it mean to have effective communication skills in the workplace today? First, it's about how you show up. So today we're going to talk about 5 tips that will help you show up as more professional, more polished, and looked at more as a leader instead of just an employee or a colleague or just a team member. You want to make an impact with your communication. All right, so let's get started. Number 1, how do you use your words? When we talk about effective communication skills, many times we're actually speaking about how we use our words. Do you use really big fancy words because you want to impress people? Do you use very simple words? You want people to understand you better? Do you speak in a way that's in alignment with the others around you so that you have synergy and that you're getting along together and you're all on the same level? These are the things you want to consider when you ask yourself, how am I communicating with my words? One way to be effective with the way you communicate is figuring out how you're going to start speaking to people. Do people tell you, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were trying to say. I didn't understand the point you were trying to make. This isn't related to what we were discussing just a minute ago. Any kind of feedback like that helps you understand that potentially you're not communicating in a way that people can receive your ideas or your contributions or your thoughts or your feedback. If that's the case, take a minute to think about what you're trying to say, how you're trying to come across, and start to speak more slowly and with more purpose, and make sure you understand exactly what you're trying to convey. Number 2, communicate with your writing. Emails. Let's talk about emails. This was one big area of feedback that I received. When I was first starting out, I felt like I needed to put everything in an email because it needed to be documented or I had a paper trail. We learned very early on that putting everything down in email and making sure there's a paper trail is effective and useful. There's a point where you get promoted and eventually you stop being this person who documents. Eventually, a person in a leadership position just wants the highlights. So when you're writing your emails, understand your audience. Who are you writing your emails to? Why are you making sure there's a paper trail? For some people, you might need it. They might be people who are a little shifty. So documenting as much as you can, even in email, might be important. Now, when you're writing effective emails, the next most important thing is to understand exactly what point you're trying to make in email. Our written correspondence is going to be critically important into how much we're invested in making sure we're reaching out to a person and how much we want to get information from them, or how much we want to interact with them. Number 3, active listening. Communication isn't just about what you say and what information you share. It is also about how you process information and how you receive information from other people. An excellent communicator is someone who can put information out there and also receive information in a very respectful manner. And that means sitting down and trying very hard to pay close attention to the person who's talking to you. Another way of active listening, parroting. If I heard you correctly, you're trying to tell me that our meeting has been changed from noon until 1. Did I get that right? So if you feel like you haven't been able to catch on to what the person was saying, you're able to repeat back to them and make sure that you have clarity. It also is a great indicator to them that you are listening or that you're trying hard to comprehend what they're trying to say. Now, as a new manager, potentially, active listening is going to be incredibly important, especially when it comes to building a trusting relationship with the people who work for you. When you start asking them, what do you want? What's on your plate? Where can I help you? You have to listen to what they have to say. And then you want to make sure when you're listening to them, am I hearing you correctly? You're asking for this, right? For clarity. So that actively you're making sure that you heard them and you're going to take the information they shared with you and take action on it. And this is what active listening is really about. It's about making sure that you're engaged with that person and that not only did you share information with them, but you're absorbing the information they're sharing with you. It can be one person who's making an active effort to give and receive information during a conversation. The other person could be so overwhelmed that they're not really paying attention to what it means to be actively involved in two ways in the conversation, but that's okay. They're going to receive and feel the impact of having a boss who's able to share information, but then also receive information in a respectful and kind way. It's critically important. Number 4, your presence. This has to do with body language. This has to do with the way you show up and if you show that you're interested in hearing what the other person has to say. So the way we communicate these days, the past 2 years, has been through Zoom. So my whole area where I can express myself has been contained inside this frame. And I've spent 2 years managing how I can express myself when I'm talking to the clients that I have, and how I'm showing them that I'm listening, that I'm engaged in the conversation, and that I want to know more and draw them out. Now, I also have clients who've asked me, hey, now that we're getting away from Zoom calls so much and I'm going back in the office, I just need a refresher on how I'm supposed to show up and how it's supposed to look when I'm there in a meeting. And so part of what I talk about is how do we communicate without using words? So we're using our body language to show, 1, that we're interested, 2, that we'd like to know more, 3, maybe we're confused. So if I'm interested, I might lean forward to say, here, tell me more. If I'm really caught up in what they're saying, I might lean forward and say, here, I need some more information. And if I'm not so sure, I could be skeptical and say, I don't know, maybe. All of this makes a difference. It's a very subtle, unconscious way for you to get your point across without having to use too many words. And if you're a person who's told you talk too much, or you have a lot to say, or you dominate the conversations when we're in meetings, take time to ask yourself, how could I communicate if I just didn't say anything? And would people get the point? This is a great way for you to start exercising your ability to use nonverbal cues as a way to communicate. It is powerful and it is subtle and it makes an impact. Go ahead and try it. And number 5, the most important one. For all the other ones, we've used techniques. These are communication techniques. But this last one, number 5, is how you express what you're really thinking. Now, when you get promoted and you get into a position where someone starts asking you, well, Bob, what do you think about this situation? You better have an answer. It isn't just about, am I using my physical space? Am I making my point clear? Am I asking open-ended questions? Am I actively listening? But now I've finally gotten to the point where I'm communicating and other people want to have a conversation with me. So it's less about me just showing up and trying to get my foot in the door and communicating where I think I have opportunities. It is now about my ability to show up and say, yeah, here's my opinion. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's where I have feedback. Here are my ideas for where I think we should go. When you get to a certain point in your career, you're no longer going to be the person who has to create really long emails with a lot of research and give minutes to meetings and start preparing so much documentation. You'll eventually get promoted or moved into a space where you're a decision maker. And when that comes, it's about strategy. And we want to start asking, how am I going to contribute in a meaningful way? So if you've practiced your concise and clear emails, if you've practiced active listening, if you've practiced showing what you're thinking without really saying a lot of words, you can now start to contribute by saying, yeah, you know what? I was skeptical and now I have some thoughts. Now, this all comes back to the moment where you get to say, here's where I'm going to contribute in an impactful way. And when you've practiced all those other methods for how you're going to show up, you now need to have substance behind what you're going to say. Consider what conversation you're involved in. Ask yourself, where am I being invited to those meetings where people are making decisions? And if I'm not being invited, then start asking, where can I be invited to some of those meetings? You might be allowed to sit in a few times without saying anything. So eventually you're going to start sharing in a strategic way. And that's going to be the most critically important way that you communicate with impact, that you communicate as a professional, and that you communicate to make a difference. All right, so that's it for this video on how to communicate effectively. I shared 5 ways that you can up-level your communication skills. We started with the way you speak, the way you write, the way you listen, the way you use your body language, and then how you take all of that and put it together so that you communicate with impact. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value out of it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.